The Xbox. A console developed by Microsoft, designed not only to compete with the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube, but one that was built to be more powerful than both of them. The hardware in the OG Xbox was insane for the time. It had a better CPU, GPU, and twice as much RAM as the other consoles had. This led to better graphics and smoother gameplay, along with some reduced loading times. The Xbox broke a lot of ground and introduced modern features that are still used to this day. Things like internet connectivity and internal storage being built into the console might feel fairly pedestrian today, but at the time, in 2001, this was groundbreaking. But being more powerful or having cool features doesn't always mean that the games on your system will be better than those of your competitors. I mean, look at Sega. They spent the entirety of the 90s putting out consoles that had better hardware than everybody else, and they just ended up second or third in the sales because Nintendo and Sony were just making better games. The Xbox though, well, the Xbox didn't have that problem. From Halo to Half-Life, Ninja Gaiden to Dead or Alive, all the way to Knights of the Old Republic, Xbox used its hardware to its maximum potential and built a library of games that people still look back on fondly. But, as with all things, where there is good, there will always be bad. And boy, oh boy, did the Xbox have some bad games. And obviously, that's why I'm here today. After going through the worst games on the PS2, I figured that I should keep moving on to the other consoles of what is, in my not so humble opinion, the greatest console generation of all time. So, here we are at the Xbox. As a PS2 kid who never owned an original Xbox, I had very little frame of reference. So, I once again went to the internet and delved deep into the depths of Metacritic for these rankings, finding the 25 worst rated games for the Xbox in hopes that just like for the PS2 and the PlayStation before that, maybe I could find some games that potentially got some hate that they didn't deserve. Maybe there are some diamonds in the rough, Did I find any? Well, we're about to find out. But before that, there are a couple things to get out of the way. First thing, game crossover. Obviously, while moving through bad games across multiple consoles of the same generation, there will be some games that overlap. And having multiple lists contain the same games doesn't really seem like a very fun video format. So to combat that, like the big-brained and classically handsome genius that I am, I came up with a system to deal with any overlap before I ever even made the video focused on the PS2. See, I went back and I looked up the worst games for the PS2, the Xbox, and the GameCube all at the same time. And anytime that there was a game that ended up on multiple lists, I played that game on whichever system had the worst rating. Because, we're talking about bad games. I don't want to play a better version of a bad game. That don't make any sense. So anyway, while games like Fight Club, 25 to Life, and Celebrity Deathmatch would have been on this list, I already did those for the PS2 and I played the worst version of them. So I simply skipped over them and I just moved on to the next game for the sake of you guys watching not needing to hear me bitch about the same games over and over and over again, and also for the sake of my personal sanity just in general. It makes sense? Alright. And the second thing I would like to talk about is my commentary in the last couple videos. After reading through a bunch of comments, I realized that my overuse of cuss words and my flippant offhand comments poking fun at things like Danny DeVito or saying that the band Disturbed sucks, it rubbed quite a few people the wrong way. And so, for that reason, I would like to apologize.
To absolutely nobody!
I'm making the videos that I want to make, and I'm going to keep doing so. And if that's not for you, that's okay, but that's not going to change what I'm doing over here. Anyway, with all that housekeeping out of the way, let's actually get to the list, like the reason any of you guys are here. These are the 25 worst rated Xbox games. Let's talk about it.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's a bonus entry. So in my last worst of video, the bonus entry was a single game that was rated the same as the game that was in the 25th spot, right? And that was perfect, because leaving out games that have the same rating seems kind of lame. So I decided that's what I was going to do from here on out. And then I started making the list for this video, and I realized that there were 9 fucking games all tied with the same rating. 9. God damn it. Anyway, I did this the fairest way I possibly could. I sat my unhappy ass down and I played through all of them. 2 of them are numbers 24 and 25, and the other 7 are this entry. So here is a list of the games that I played. It's right there, okay? And here is the ratings that I gave all of them individually. Talking about them all individually would take a lot of time and it kind of would defeat the purpose of having just like a bonus entry, like one bonus entry, you know? Plus, I mean, you know, like bonus entries are kind of my thing. Like I don't want them to be too long-winded. So instead, why don't we just watch a little montage of my reactions as I was playing these games for the first time. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Oh wow, this is fucking awful. Oh wow, a Superman game that fucking sucks, imagine that. Oh, a game where I can exclusively only drive Hummers. That seems so fun. Who made this? Would they just who thought this was a good idea? What in the actual fuck? I'm not having any fun. I'm not having any fun at all. Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Fucking Jesus Christ. What is that? Fucking built Ford tough, built Ford rough. This shit is Yeah, most of these were dog shit, but a couple of them weren't all that terrible. 2 of those 9 games, though, stuck out like a sore thumb, and they were head and shoulders worse than the others. And the first one is number 25. Splat, Renegade Paintball, 44%. Splat, or Splat, was a paintball-centric magazine from the early 2000s. I couldn't find any actual details on its publication history, but as far as I could tell, it was in print from early 2003 until like late 2007-ish. Now, while doing this research, I found a plethora of old short-lived paintball magazines that seem kind of like way too many for such a niche subject, which probably explains why most of them don't exist anymore. Look at these, though. Look at these. Look at this. This looks like a new metal album cover. It's awesome. Look, I know that this is supposed to be paint, but that's not how you spell that. That's patent. I don't know. What I do know is it's not fucking paint. I know that. But enough about that. This game is fucking biggity bullshit. It's a round-based shooter where you, to the surprise of no one, compete in competitive paintball matches. Now, done well, that's probably something that could have done all right, since it's a niche barely ever covered by video games. The keywords there are done well. Nothing in this game was. Nothing. The hit detection is abysmal. The AI is as brain dead as anyone who likes Disturbed.
And that was your once per video reminder that Disturbed fucking sucks.
And the shooting mechanics are some of the worst I've ever experienced. Dude, the paintballs drop so fast that if you want to shoot them at anybody that's further than about 5 feet in front of you, you literally have to lob them like they're fucking Call of Duty grenades. Oh. You can't tell when you hit someone half the time because you can't look at them because you're looking at the sky, just hoping. You can't move well. You can't see where your paintballs go. You can't tell if you're getting close to the target. Your teammates are useless. Ugh. I played halfway through a career mode before I gave up and literally stopped playing video games for the rest of the day. That's how bad this game is. It made me stop gaming for the rest of a day. Not take a break, not go play something better. I didn't want to play any more video games after I played this. If that doesn't tell you how bad this is, I don't know what will. Maybe you should just look at the screen. Look at it. Horrific. Fucking horrific. This was not fun at all. I hated all of it. Splat Renegade Paintball gets a 1 out of 10. They had a captive demographic of people that would have wanted to play a paintball game, and they capitalized on that by releasing this shitter. Absolutely inexcusable. Number 24, Metal Dungeon, 44%. So I played Splat, pretty early on into my slog through the 9 games, all tied at 44%. And I figured it was probably going to take this spot because none of the other games could possibly be as poorly executed or bad looking as that game was, right? Not possible. Right? Can't be. Wrong. Fucking wrong. This game takes the fucking cake. Not only does it take the fucking cake, it burns down the entire goddamn bakery around it. Okay, here's the premise. You create some characters, you make a squad, and you go raid the Metal Dungeon. Freaking badass, bro. So you can randomly generate your entire squad, or you can go in and you can kind of pick and choose what different pieces and things that you want them to look like, but it doesn't really fucking matter because it all looks like shit anyway. So it's fucking pointless, honestly. I don't know. You just create your squad and then you press start and you fight through your tears as you're playing through the rest of this fucking game. Ugh. I had never heard of this game, so I thought maybe it would be like a shooter or something. And then when I was loading in, I was like, oh, it's definitely like a third-person action game, maybe like an action RPG, kind of like Gauntlet style, you know? Yeah, no such luck. This is a dungeon crawler, but it's also a turn-based RPG that... It's like if you took everything that Final Fantasy X did and then you just made it horrible. That's what this game is. It's one of the worst RPGs I've ever played in my life. It's so bad. Dude, the environments all look the same. It's all bland and ugly. The graphics are terrible. There's like 8 enemies in the entire fucking game. The animations are bad. The battle system is nonsensical. It doesn't make any fucking sense. The roles that you play, honestly, don't really fucking matter at all. Oh, and every time that somebody attacks, you have to watch like a 5 to 10 second little animation of them powering up before they go attack. Every single fucking time. Oh, man. There's no story at all. You just go into dungeon, fight till you find a boss, beat it, leave, all over and over and over and over again. There's no fucking point. It's like, okay, if you've ever played Persona 3, you know, grinding the tower got a little bit old at a certain point, and you're like, ah, man, this is kind of getting a little bit repetitive, a little bit monotonous. Imagine a whole game that's just that. Like a whole fucking game. No social aspects, no RPG elements really besides the battle system, just the tower grind. Fucking so bad. Look, I've been playing a lot of garbage games recently, and I don't think any of them upset me as much as this one has. For a second, this game made me consider not making another video like this. That's how mad this game made me. I almost said, yeah guys, I just can't do this anymore, based off of this pile of dog shit. This is an all-time low for graphics, controls, gameplay. It's a feat that is honestly almost respectable. It shouldn't be remembered, but I'll never forget this game. It's like an ex that treated me like shit, but I still think about her from time to time, you know? I might have Stockholm Syndrome. I mean, it definitely feels like I have been emotionally abused by this fucking game. Whatever, this game fucking sucks. It sucks so bad. It's only number 24. And at this point, I am not looking forward to the rest of this list. Metal Dungeon is a 0 out of 10. This game is fucking terrible. The fact that this got a 44 fucking % is egregious. They had to be paying somebody off, dude. This game is absolutely unforgivable. Number 23, Backyard Wrestling 2. There goes the neighborhood. 43%. Backyard Wrestling. Man, what a moment in time. For those of you who aren't wrestling fans, in the late 90s and early 2000s, backyard wrestling was a craze where people would basically just have death matches in someone's backyard. It was crazy. I was like 11 years old, and I watched Sick Nick Mondo take a full-on running weed whacker to the tummy. These guys are madmen, dude. They were maiming themselves just crazy style just to make some noise and get noticed. And it worked. Backyard wrestling was eventually copyrighted, and it turned into its own little independent wrestling promotion, kind of. And nowadays, it's basically just a lost art, but at one time, it was insanely popular, to the point where they had DVDs, documentaries, TV specials, and even spawned a couple of video games. There Goes the Neighborhood is the second game released under the Backyard Wrestling banner, following up 2003's Don't Try This at Home. Now, neither game is very good, but the first had at least a few redeeming qualities. This one, not so much. These graphics are rough, even for 04. The gameplay, not good. And along with games like Simpsons Wrestling and Celebrity Deathmatch, there is little to no wrestling in this game. It's just an arena fighter, featuring a small roster of wrestlers, musicians, and adult film stars. Yes, you heard that right. All of the women featured in this game are porn stars. Do with that what you will. Anyway, you can create a wrestler, and you could choose a few basic options for moves, but since almost all of the moves are incredibly generic, doesn't really matter. Also, doesn't ever really explain to you how to pull off the moves, so, kind of shit out of luck with that one too, buddy. When I saw that there was a fishnet shirt that I could use on my create a character though, obviously I had to create Right Said Fred, and I went to work in career mode, which is just a paper thin attempt at creating any type of storyline or narrative to go along with this awful fucking gameplay. Speaking of which, yeah, shit's trash. Controls like ass, it's unresponsive, your opponents spam the same couple of moves over and over and over, and it's ridiculously easy to win. What isn't easy is trying to figure out how to do any of the wrestling moves that you want to do. Like the cool moves that you have, you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that move. Well, good luck, buddy. Instead, a better option would just be punching and kicking your opponent until they get knocked out. Don't even have to pin them. You can pin them. Don't have to. The locations are cool and pretty well put together and actually look half decent, but when you're struggling just to pick up a weapon or do anything, fun, it doesn't really matter if the backgrounds look good or the levels are well designed. It's actually a bummer to me that a lot of the people featured in the 2 backyard games have never made it into any other video games, or at least any other good games. And this game had potential, but it wasted almost all of it by just rushing it out a year after the original and making things worse than they were before. It's a shame, but it is what it is. And there's no point in playing this garbage for more than an hour or so, unless you just really want to play as one of the members of ICP. Maybe you can get something out of that, but even then, it's not good. The only positive things I have to say about this game is that the campaign isn't very long, and the soundtrack is actually really good. I mean, to be fair, the soundtrack is 100% the best part of this game. Now, obviously, you got some ICP on there, but there's also Fall Out Boy, Mudvayne, Andrew WK, Guar, Lamb of God, Murs, KRS-One, Chimera, Saliva, a bunch of other artists. The soundtrack has almost like 60 songs on it, which for that time period is fucking crazy. To put that in perspective, modern Madden and like 2K games use about 60 songs on their soundtracks. In 2004, nobody was doing that. It's actually awesome. There's also a bunch of unlockable music videos from a lot of the artists on the soundtrack, which I thought was cool, but if unlockable music videos and the soundtrack are the best parts of your game, if that's the fucking highlight, like, what are we doing here, guys? Backyard Wrestling 2, There Goes the Neighborhood, breaks 500 light tubes on its way to a 3 out of 10. Just ain't good. Number 22, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Melee, 43%. And why they gotta do the Turtles like this so often, man? Growing up, I loved the Ninja Turtles so goddamn much. I spent hundreds of hours of my childhood playing Turtles 2, the arcade game on the NES, and then later on, Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo. Dude, I had the action figures, I had the weapons, I had the bed sheets. Boy, I was all in on the Turtles. I was all in. Now, playing a couple dozen games based on the Turtles IP over the course of my life has made me realize something. Ninja Turtles games are either incredibly good or very fucking bad. Guess which side this one falls on. Now, if you couldn't tell by looking at it, this game is based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon that started airing in 2003. The show itself is fucking based, and it's honestly one of the best incarnations of the Turtles ever. It's super faithful to the source material, and it helped kickstart a massive resurgence for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, introducing them to a younger generation and creating millions of new fans in the process. Now, the cartoon might have got some hate from like the older fans from the 80s because of how it looked, but you know what? It wasn't made for them, so they can fuck right off, and they could just go watch the original series, which, again, is equally good in its own right. The show ran for 7 seasons, and it is incredibly important to where the Turtles are now in pop culture. Problem is, though, there was only one above average game based on that series that ever got made, and it was for the Game Boy Advance. Mutant Melee was the 3rd out of 4 games based on the cartoon that released on home consoles, and it's probably the worst out of all of them. Now, while the other 3 were all little hack and slash games, this is a beat 'em up arena fighter that lets you play as a plethora of characters from the show and then regret hitting the start button. This stinks, and there's no other way to put it. It looks half decent, but they also could have done better. But that's where the semi-positive aspects completely end. The fighting system is awful. It's just one button. It's a one-button combat system. Absolutely blows. The level design is terrible. It's like small and cramped, and the camera fights you half the time. There's things in your way you can't see. Your opponents are idiots. It's just all... it's just all so bad. You could beat the story mode for a character in less than an hour, even when you're dealing with some of the stupid and obtuse challenges that they give you later down the road, which, by the way, would be the only challenge anybody would ever get from this game. I'm not kidding when I say a 6-year-old kid could pick up this game and beat it, except for maybe a couple of the ridiculously hard challenges towards the very end of the game. Other than that, this shit is absolute cheeks. Total buns. And it sucks. It sucks that this show never got a good console game to go along with it. But, you know, I mean, they all sold well enough to where they didn't have to improve any of them. And they didn't have to attempt to make a good game. They just dropped one every year and a half or so, and they collected the money. Honestly, don't play these games. Don't play any of these games. Don't play any Turtles game that came out in between 93 and 2022. From Tournament Fighters to Shredder's Revenge, just skip all those, man. Because the best games from that in-between space are just mediocre at best anyway. Fuck all that shit. Play the old ones or play the new ones. Just leave the 2000s and the 2010s alone. You know, you'll be better for it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Melee gets a 3 out of 10. You can kind of squeeze a little bit of fun out of it, but it is gone very fast. Very, very fast. Number 21. Final Fight Streetwise. 42%. Oh man, when I tell you, when I hit the new game button and it dropped me into a little Fight Club style intro section for this game, I started having flashbacks like I was back in fucking Nom, dude. Everything went black and white, fucking Mad World started playing in the background. I was fucking devastated. The combat system for this doesn't work for like a one-on-one fighting game. And if this was the whole game, I was gonna throw a rock through my monitor. Thankfully, once you fail miserably a lot more times than you should, but then you finally win that first fight, you move on to the actual game, which is a semi-open world beat 'em up with some light shooter mechanics. It doesn't look all that great, but it looks good enough that it didn't distract me from the game itself, which is, to be perfectly fair, something that a good chunk of the games on this list cannot say. The story is super generic. Your brother is abducted by bad guys and you need to go save him, all the while uncovering corruption and a bunch of bad guys you need to beat up. The voice acting made me physically wince as I was listening to it. It's super forced and it tries to be overly serious to the point that it's actually the exact opposite, and it made me laugh. Back when I was playing the PS2 games, I played 25 to Life and that dialogue was real corny. This, not quite as bad, but it's real fucking close. So yeah, the voice acting, it's not all that great, and outside of the main characters, a lot of the models look pretty shit, but overall, it's a decent narrative, like it's fine. It's super cliche, but whatever, I'm not playing a beat 'em up for the fucking storyline anyway. The gameplay consists of you running around, completing either the main story missions, or you could take on some side missions to help earn money to upgrade your character. The side quests are a bunch of mini games that give you a break from just beating up random thugs. None of them are that great per se, but I mean they're not terrible, I guess. And it adds like at least a little bit of variety, you know? Now I could see why people were disappointed with this game when it came out because of what it had promised and what it ended up delivering. But this is a perfectly passable game. Now it doesn't do anything that other games haven't done better, but it still works well enough. The gun mechanics work well, the combat is fun. It's simple, but sometimes simple is good enough. And in this instance, I think it is. Now, it won't rock your world, it won't give you anything that you can't get somewhere else, but it's still a moderately fun little brawler. Also, there's randomly a billboard with Slipknot's Volume 3 album cover on it, so that's kind of tight. I don't know. I don't hate this game nearly as much as most games on this list, and after going through all of them, I don't think this deserves to be here at all. Especially not rated worse than the last few fucking piles of dog shit that I had to play through just to get here. Also, I almost threw a perfect dart game, but I missed one goddamn shot, and I'm still heartbroken about it. Final Fight Streetwise gets a 5 out of 10. It's not groundbreaking, and it's not all that great, but, you know, it's alright. Number 20. Smashing Drive, 42%. So I loaded up this game and I saw that I'm a taxi, so I just assumed that it was a bad Crazy Taxi ripoff. Now I should have learned my lesson by now when making these lists that I need to just stop assuming anything, because anytime I do, I end up being not only wrong, but also incredibly disappointed, and this is no exception. There are no two ways about it. This game sucks a mountainous amount of dick. It is a, and I use this term very loosely, racing game, where you're a taxi racing another taxi through the streets to your customer's destination. The driving handles like garbage, even for a shitty arcade racing game. The power-ups you get, if you can even call them that, work against you more often than not, and the opposing driver can just flat out outrun you. So if you don't take shortcuts or get turbo boosts, you don't win, which is clearly a mechanic to keep people pumping quarters into an arcade machine, but when you have it on a home console, doesn't really fucking make any sense. All the mechanics of this game work against each other to the point where you barely have an idea of what you're doing half the time. And the other half, you're just pissed off because the controls fucking suck. So even if you do know what you're supposed to do in a certain situation, you can't do it most of the time because the game just won't let you. You know what else the game won't let you do? Play multiplayer. In the menu on the Xbox version, head-to-head mode is blacked out and shown as canceled. They didn't even bother taking it off of the main menu. They decided that rubbing in the fact that you couldn't play this with your friends even if you wanted to was a good idea. Insane. Insane. There's only 4 stages in the entire game, which is fine for an arcade game, but charging full price for a home console version of a game that you can beat in 20 minutes is fucking bullshit. The sound design is a low point. It's the same 30 seconds or so of a song that just loops over and over and over again until you throw an M80 into one of your speakers. It's terrible. This isn't Crazy Taxi. This is fucking Lazy Taxi. This game is miserable. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. For real, my advice to you is to do something that you can't do in this game, and that's steer yourself as far away from danger as possible by avoiding this fucking shit pile. Smashing Drive is a 1 out of 10. It's a shitty arcade port. It's just garbage. Number 19, Star Trek, Shattered Universe, 41%. It's kind of funny that the rivalry between Star Wars and Star Trek fans is so massive and it's such a big source of discourse between nerds because they share a lot of similarities. One of them being they have their fair share of dog shit video games. Star Wars has a lot, but Star Trek has some all-time bullshit games on their name. This is one of them. This game is objectively dog shit. This is Rogue Squadron without anything that made that game good. Everything about this game blows goats. Controlling your ship feels like you're trying to drive a Ford Bronco without power steering. The missions are monotonous and tedious. Half the time you're in horrible space combat, and the other half you're just flying for minutes at a time straight towards an object. And then when you get there, you just turn around and you have to go all the way back. It's just absolutely pointless. Also, they don't tell you what you're supposed to do. So they just assume that you know when you start a mission, and then they chastise you when you lost because they gave you a tiny bit of information and they just expected you to be able to interpret that into exactly what your objectives were. And I hate tutorials that are too long, but playing a game that has zero tutorial is just as bad sometimes. At least let me know how to use turbo. Let me know how to fire my specials or my torpedoes and shit. This game looks, alright, I guess. Everything else is just trash. It's just fucking trash. Fuck this game, dude. Fuck the people who made it. Bargain bin garbage, dude. This is god tier level bad sci-fi game. I wish I could say anything good about it, but even the storyline has nothing to do with any of the series. It's just put into the universe so they could make money off the license, and they didn't put any effort into making a good fucking game. Whatever, man. Star Trek Shattered Universe gets a 1 out of 10. Number 18. Xiaolin Showdown, 40%. Okay, so I know this show had a lot of insanely loyal fans that still love it even to this day. It ain't for me. I think I was just too old when it came out to really give a shit, but I can understand the appeal that it had to a younger audience that was watching it at the time that it was released. That said, this fucking game, this game is atrocious, man. Literally everything. Everything. It's like a 7-layer dip made exclusively out of different types of shit. It's legitimately that bad. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. The graphics are bad somehow. They took a cartoon that looks like this and they made the graphics awful. How do you do that? Combat is bad. The levels are probably the worst designed on this entire list. The camera is useless. Oh, and to top it all off, it's mind-numbingly repetitive. It's so repetitive that calling it repetitive doesn't actually do it enough justice. All you do is you spend 10 to 15 minutes running back and forth on these tiny, bland, empty levels, fighting the same 2 enemies. You collect some items and power-ups, I guess, and then finally, once you're almost brain dead from boredom, you fight a boss that might as well just be another regular enemy. After that, you move on to another poorly designed level, and you do the same thing. That's the entire game. That is the entire fucking game. I guess you do have Showdown mode, which is just King of the Hill, but done badly. And I guess there is a multiplayer mode, but if you ever invited friends over to come play this with you, you wouldn't end up having any fun. You'd end up with 3 less friends. The show might have a cult following, but even the biggest fans wouldn't be able to find anything good about this game. Also, I'm not sure if they used the original voice actors for this game because I just flat out refused to do any research on this bullshit, but if they did, they had them record about 5 lines and you will be stabbing your eardrums out halfway through the first level because they just spam them over and over and over again like it's crazy. Oh, also about 3 to 4 times each level, the main baddie will pop up and he'll just throw you into some long and unskippable little cutscene, trying to forcibly convince you that the story of this game is anything but terrible. And it's not like cinematic cutscenes. No, it's the live game gameplay graphics, so you're just staring at this. Ugh. There's no redeeming qualities. If you hate yourself and you just want to be fucking miserable, this is the game for you. Just another beat 'em up, dude. The whole fucking list so far, man. I'm getting real sick of playing games based on IPs for kids that were clearly just made to grab a quick buck. There was no thought, no respect, no love put into this game at all, and it shows. Ripping off fans because you know that they'll buy any game based on their favorite show is something that I'm glad the video game industry has finally seemed to move pretty far away from. Anyway, this is one of the easiest scores I'll ever give. Xiaolin Showdown gets a 0 out of 10. It's predatory garbage designed as a game for fans of the show. Number 17. Freestyle Street Soccer. 40%. When I loaded this game up, I was expecting to play a really shitty version of FIFA Street. But to my surprise, it's actually only just a mediocre version of FIFA Street. Imagine that. And at this point, I'll take any mediocre experience I can fucking get. Through some digging, I found out that this game was a Blockbuster exclusive, which took me back to a time when stores had exclusive versions of games. It also reminded me of the era where, depending on which store you reserved your game at, you would get pre-order bonuses that only that store gave you. Can't remember which game it was, like 2010 or maybe 2012. I remember Walmart, Target, and GameStop and a couple other stores, they all had their own pre-order bonuses. Can't remember what game it was for. I miss the days of pre-ordering a game and standing in line. Halo ODST, Gears 3, stood in line for hours for those games. Good times. Anyway, this game is a pretty average soccer game. It does the same things that FIFA Street was known for, it doesn't nail them like those games did. And as someone who dropped a ton of time into FIFA Street 3, I'm somewhat of an expert in the category of street soccer games, okay? This game isn't nearly as bad as its critical rating says it is, though. I genuinely had a pretty good time with this. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it does enough right to be enjoyable. The controls are fairly intuitive, and while it doesn't look very good, it's another game that doesn't look so bad that it's a point of focus. Once you're playing, you don't really notice. Reading into it, apparently this game was being developed and the studio closed, so a new company made up of the people from the original team finished it with only 11 people. That's a pretty bare bones crew, and what they ended up making is actually kind of crazy for a team of that size. The game modes from this one are pretty cool as well. Obviously, they have the obligatory exhibition and multiplayer modes, but the career mode called Turf War is what was real fun for me, and it is what it sounds like. You start off at your home pitch, and you make your way to other teams' territory to attack them and try to take it over. It's a cool twist on a normal story mode, and it reminds me of games like Saints Row, where you're increasing your influence by taking over enemy territory and all that. Then when you beat Turf Wars, you get Home Turf mode, which is basically the same thing, except you're just getting attacked by other teams constantly, and if you lose a single game, you have to start from scratch. It's pretty dope, honestly. I like it a lot. Both Turf Wars and Home Turf are well thought out and well designed game modes, and they add a lot of replayability to the game itself. Speaking of the game, the gameplay, perfectly fine. It's not the best, but it's fine. I had quite a bit of fun playing through this one, and if you're a huge soccer fan, this isn't a total waste of time. Although there are way superior soccer games from this generation. At the end of the day, this wasn't all that bad. I'm not mad about the time I spent playing it, which is a blessing on this list, let me fucking tell you what. I'm gonna give Freestyle Street Soccer a 6 out of 10. It doesn't do anything that other games haven't done better, but it does things that other games have also done a lot worse. So there are way more terrible titles that you could pick up instead of this one. It's actually pretty solid. Number 16. Ultimate Beach Soccer. 39%. Oh, sick. Back-to-back soccer games. I'm sure this one will give me the same surprise quality that the last one did, right? Nope, not even close. This game's a shitter, and a massive one at that. Loading it up and seeing about 5 different game companies I had never heard of didn't give me much confidence in this game, and I was still somehow disappointed. It's a miserable slog through a sport that about 14 people in the entire world actually give a shit about. Like, it looks bad, it plays worse, it's not intuitive at all. It's just really fucking bad, man. The tutorial doesn't even teach you the buttons. They tell you what you need to do, but they don't tell you what buttons to hit to do that, so you just have to figure it out on your own. It's not even a tutorial. What are we doing here, guys? There's nothing I can explain about this game that the footage on the screen doesn't show you. This game is nothing more than a bad idea held back by even worse execution. Zero fun, but it's not bad enough to get a 0. It does get a 1 out of 10 though. Worst soccer game I've ever played, and I own multiple dog shit soccer games for the 64. Yeah, steer clear of this one, dude. Number 15, Motocross Mania 3, 38%. Why in the ever-loving fuck can I not escape bad motocross games? There's been at least one on every single worst of video I've made so far. God damn it, dude. Anyway, this is the first motocross game I've had to play for one of these videos that didn't have Jeremy McGrath's unfortunate ass on the cover, so, you know, good on you, I guess. The kind of sad thing about that, though, is that it isn't nearly as bad as most of the other motocross games that I've played for these videos. Jeremy McGrath can't catch a fucking break, dog. Oh, this poor bastard. Whatever, he made a bunch of money, fuck him. This game is a mashup of a racer, road rash, and dirt, all kind of mixed in and thrown together in a fairly haphazard way. The career mode is pretty decent though. It's got a bunch of different game modes to compete in, and the upgrade system completely steals the show, but at the end of the day, the racing and the combat gameplay that is the main focus of the game it's pretty repetitive. It works semi-well, it's just not super fun. They have mini games like tag, and they add variety to the challenges, and then you can challenge other riders to win their bike, which is a cool feature of the main campaign, but at the end of the day, it's still just a pretty simple combat racer. Now, if combat racing games like Road Rash are your thing, then you might enjoy this one more than I did. I've just never really been a big fan of that genre, so even if it's done moderately well, I'm probably not gonna like it that much. I don't know, it's not really a game style that I fuck with. The graphics aren't anything special, but they aren't terrible, and the gameplay does have some redeeming qualities, but overall, it's more than anything just a kind of boring game. It just isn't interesting for more than a couple hours, which isn't exactly what people want when they pay full price for a game. I give Motocross Mania 3 a 5 out of 10. It isn't terrible, and it isn't very compelling either. It's just textbook, middle-of-the-road game. Probably doesn't belong on this list, and it definitely doesn't deserve to be this high. Number 14. Bad Boys, Miami Takedown, 35%. I will never understand when people make a tie-in game that doesn't use the assets of the movie or TV show that it's tied to. A perfect example of this is Bad Boys, Miami Takedown. It's a third-person shooter that takes place after the events of Bad Boys 2, and that movie is dope as fuck, but this game is not. The first thing you'll notice when you load up this game, though, is that it looks like the drizzling shits. Not only do the character models and the environments look horrible, they don't even remotely look like Will Smith or Martin Lawrence. Like, I don't think they even tried to make it resemble them. And it took all of 10 seconds for me to figure out that they didn't lend their voices to this game either. Neither one sounds anything like the characters that they were playing. Besides the awful graphics and voiceovers, the gameplay, man, oh my god, it's so fucking bad. The control scheme makes zero fucking sense at all. You want to interact with something? Too bad. You're gonna accidentally take cover because it's the same button. Reload button? Obviously there isn't one. I mean, why would you want to reload when you can just shoot the rest of a magazine and waste it so your gun is now full? Oh, you zoomed in by hitting the A button? Have fun getting out of that. Yeah, everything makes no sense, man. The aiming is also weird because it drags after you stop moving a little bit. It's like when you move a character on an ice level in a video game and there's that little bit of sliding you do after you stop. We've all done that, right? We all know what that's like. Yeah, that's how the aiming in this game works. It's insanely annoying. So you can't snap your aim to somebody and start shooting at them because of the controls being so bad. It's very weird. You have to like stop beforehand and have it slow down onto your target. Fucking terrible, terrible system. I don't know why anybody thought that this would be a good idea. It just doesn't make any sense. Another thing that I can't believe that they thought was a good idea was the fucking ad-libs that they threw into this game. I'm not kidding when I say this. Every 5 to 10 seconds, one of the characters throws out some stupid fucking anecdote that comes across so lame, and it's non-fucking stop. It's non-stop.
You know what they say? If you can't beat them, blow them the fuck up. Try invading this space, asshole. Should have stayed at school, punk.
The entire game. The entire game. The cutscenes are awful, the story is decent, but the voice acting and character models ruin anything that you can enjoy about that. It's just all so fucking terrible. The gunfighting is half decent, but still can't be that good because the mechanics involved. Everything about this is just so unbelievably ass. I love the Bad Boys movies, and I was hoping for a game that might be unjustifiably on this list, but that is not the case. Not only does this game deserve to be on this list, it deserves to be way closer to number 1 than it is. This game is dog shit. Bad Boys Miami Takedown gets a 1 out of 10. There's not an ounce of fun to be had in here. Number 13, Chicago Enforcer, 33%. Well, this looks better than Bad Boys, so that's a nice little bonus, I guess. Not that this looks all that good, but it doesn't look like complete shit. The voice acting is pretty good, and yeah, that's about all the positive things I have to say. The controls are kind of weird, but honestly, at this point in time when Chicago Enforcer came out, first-person shooters didn't really have like the standard control scheme that most games kind of incorporate now. So while hitting Y to reload or hitting X and B to cycle through your weapons, it seems weird at first. It isn't overly bad. If anything, it's just a reminder of how random control schemes used to be. I will say, left trigger to interact is a weird choice though. The main issue with this game is that your mission for each level means pretty much nothing. They'll be like, hey, try to sneak in, don't let them see you coming. And so I'm like, okay, cool, it's gonna be like a stealth mission. No, dude, you're a brand new mob enforcer, and somehow every single person on the map knows exactly who you are, and they see you coming blocks away, and they just start shooting at you in the street. The missions are just run-of-the-mill FPS missions. They're just designed worse than most other games. They basically just drop you into the streets of 1920 Chicago and they go, hey, go find this guy or go kill this guy. And that wouldn't be an issue, but the levels are so massive. And again, wouldn't be an issue, but there's no sprint button. And it becomes a problem when it's like, hey, we need you to get to this speakeasy. And you're like, okay. So you go over to the speakeasy that you need to infiltrate, and they go, what's the password? And then it shows you a dumpster all the way on the other side of the map from where you came from, and you have to walk to it. And then you have to walk all the way back again. Heaven forbid you're low on health because enemies will be respawning. It's fucking nuts, dude. And it happens every single level, every single one. You're in the hotel in the second part of the game. You have to backtrack all the way down the stairs to the lobby to retrieve some keys from like the 4th floor every single time. Speaking of problems with the levels, these levels are ugly and empty. They have you out on the streets wandering around and there's no life to the city. 90% of the people that you see are hostile. The other 10% are civilians that are completely unfazed by the massive gunfights that are breaking out around them. Oh, and then there's a few cops that are there, but they don't care if you're getting shot at. People will be shooting at you, but then as soon as you pull out a gun and shoot back, the cops start shooting at you, and they don't care about the fact that you're getting gunned down by like 3 dudes with Tommy guns. Insane. But seriously, the levels are so empty, it makes the game feel lifeless, like completely lifeless, which surprisingly isn't all that good for a sense of immersion. Especially when apparently every single guest staying at this 4-story hotel are hostiles. Well, except for the 2 guys in the lobby that just don't care once again about the massive amount of bullets flying everywhere. Speaking of enemies, yeah, they're the same 3 dudes over and over again. And they know who you are, like I said, from hundreds of feet away. The aiming in this is bad, but the guns are okay, at least the ones that I ran into. It's not great, but you could probably spend a couple hours here and at least have like a marginal amount of fun. That said, I can't say I recommend anyone play this shit. Almost any other FPS game on the Xbox would be better than this one, so go play one of those instead. Chicago Enforcer gets a 3 out of 10. Number 12, Shrek Super Party, 33%. I, as well as most other gamers, love Mario games pretty much as a whole. They've had some misses, but for the most part when Nintendo puts out a Mario title, it's usually pretty fucking fun. And whenever that happens, what does everybody else do? They copy it. It's been happening with Mario Kart for 30 years, and at one point or another, every IP you could think of with a younger target audience has pumped out some awful Mario Party clone. Shrek Super Party is a prime example of taking something that people enjoy, removing all of the good parts, and charging a premium price for a shitty knockoff. This game is fucking booty garbage, dude. I have probably played upwards of 10 different Mario Party clones, and this one is by far the worst one I've ever tried. Emphasis on the word tried, because saying you can actually play this game is a disservice. The format of the game itself is super weird. Instead of having coins and stars, you have bugs and precious drops, but whatever, that's just what you collect. But the bugs you collect in certain minigames you can combine into combos that give you precious drops, which is your currency for the win. There are 6 characters, 4 maps, and the minigames are exclusive to which map you choose to play on. So if you want to play your favorite games, you can only play one map. Not that that really matters because all the minigames are so fucking bad, you won't have a favorite. I promise you, if you suffer through an entire game of this shit, your favorite minigame will be whichever one is the last one. I'm not kidding. All the minigames are either ridiculously simple and lame, or ridiculously hard to play due to terrible, laggy controls. The AI in this game is so godlike at the games that unless you were on some demon shit, you're probably not gonna get first, ever, which is somehow a fucking good thing. Also, scoring in the minigames makes no sense. You'll have 340 points at the end of a game instead of, the game just counting up how many objectives you've actually gotten through. We got this weird scaling number. They're just numbers anywhere from like 8 to 15. It just doesn't, fucking makes no sense. It's just stupid. Most of the minigames are luck or RNG based, so being good at this game isn't really a thing, and all of them last way too long. I think the shortest one I played was like 2.5 minutes, and it's just bouncing back and forth on lily pads. It's fucking crazy. Now I know with only the first Shrek movie being out at this time, you couldn't have put that many more characters into the game, but 6 still feels weak. Also, the big head mode character design looks bad, but I can understand why they did it, because if they made them true to size, this would have been even worse somehow. At the end of my playtime with this one, I sat back and I just stared at my screen in disbelief for a couple minutes. Like, no joke, I couldn't believe how fucking bad this game is. By a mile, this is the worst Mario Party clone I've ever had the misfortune of playing. I'd put this up against any bad clone ever. And believe me, I played some terrible cartoony board games. It's just the most formulaic game type ever. It has such an easy blueprint to follow. How do people still make shitty versions of it? How does that happen? It's crazy. Like, how do you fuck it up? Calling this Shrek Super Party is like saying peak Kwame Brown. It makes zero fucking sense. Fuck out of here with this garbage, dude. Shrek Super Party is a 0 out of 10. There's only a couple decent Shrek games in general, and this ain't one. Fuck. Number 11. Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon. 32%. Well, this game looks decent. Alright, that's it for the positive. Let's talk about the negatives. First thing you'll notice is in the cutscenes, Bruce Lee is either out here looking really confused or he's looking like he's trying to hold in a massive fart around his crush. The levels look alright, but you wouldn't notice because the entire time the camera is just stuck and it can't be controlled whatsoever, so you're just looking at whatever the devs want you to see. Super cool when that happens. The fighting controls are pretty lame, and the combos and special moves that you can unlock miss your enemies more often than they connect, so you're better off just doing your basic attacks. Especially since once you upgrade your attack power like once or twice, you can take out most people with only 1 or 2 hits. No lie, about 20 minutes into the game, you can one-shot basically every enemy. The upgrade system would be cool if they explained to you how it works, but it doesn't, so basically you're trying to guess whether it's better to rank up or grab all of the available skills first. 2 hours of this game, and I never really figured out the strat with this. But it was still incredibly easy, so I guess it doesn't really fucking matter. The gameplay is a mix of a beat 'em up and a fighting game, because you go into a group of enemies, and then you lock on to a single enemy, and then you get attacked by none of the other characters, because if you aren't solo fighting them, they just sit there and wait for you. Good design. The music and sound design in general is pretty shit, and the voiceovers don't do any favors either. Also, Bruce Lee died 30 years before this game was made. Now, how do they honor this trailblazing badass and make a horrible beat 'em up with a nonsensical story, basically that makes a mockery of this dude's amazing legacy? Awesome. I wish I had anything positive to say about it, but the mix of the graphics, the camera, the story, the sound, all piled onto a boring, poorly made, repetitive game, there just aren't many things to compliment. This is neither a good beat 'em up, nor is it a good fighting game. Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon gets a 2 out of 10. Number 10. Land of the Dead, Road to Fiddler's Green, 32%. Okay, I'm gonna be honest right here. I'm gonna get my bias out of the way real quick by offering up a disclaimer. I love basically every zombie game. I love Resident Evil. I love Dying Light. I love Project Zomboid. I love Days Gone, 7 Days to Die, Zombie Army. COD Zombies is one of my favorite things to just randomly sit down and play at pretty much any given time. So what I'm trying to say here is, I could play any game with zombies in it and probably have a pretty good time. I don't know why, but even the worst zombie games are still enjoyable to me. It's like a fucking superpower, swear to God. Same goes for zombie movies, honestly. Big fan. Big fan. 28 Days Later, top 5. And it ain't 4 or 5, I'll tell you that. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I can consume any form of zombie-centric media and at least marginally enjoy myself. So when I don't completely shit on this game, that might be part of the reason, alright? And at least I'm honest about it. That said, I like this game. It isn't the best of its kind, but this was fun for me. It looks good, it handles pretty well, and all the basic gameplay mechanics work. The levels are well designed, if not pretty fucking linear, but they look good and they provide a pretty tense feeling as you're playing through. The gunplay mechanics are good, although headshots taking like multiple hits with pretty much every gun, kinda irked me. The one major complaint that I have is the sound. And now, it doesn't sound bad. but the audio levels between the cutscenes and the gameplay is insane. The cutscenes are literally 20 plus decibels quieter than the actual gameplay, so you'll go from barely being able to hear what the main character is saying during a cutscene to having your fucking eardrums completely blown out. It's insane. Other than that though, the audio is well done. This is just a basic first-person shooter zombie game though. Basically, you start out on your farm, the zombies wander up, and the whole world goes to shit. So you have to try and survive. And the best way to do that would be to escape from your farm and make your way to one of the military outposts that have been set up. Healing items and ammo are pretty prevalent, but not so much that it makes it easy. That said, it isn't very hard either. The zombies move pretty slow for the most part, but there are some that randomly quicken their movement speed, making for some of those moments. And that's just one thing you need in a game like this, so that's fair. The AI isn't all that great, and sometimes the levels feel a bit too linear, but all said and done, I didn't really hate this at all. Now, don't get it twisted, this game is a lot slower than most other zombie games. It isn't throwing hordes of zombies at you most of the time, and you're rarely going to get cornered or overrun like you would in games like Dying Light or Left 4 Dead, but it's still cool. I don't know, I played this and was pleasantly surprised. Again, it's not overwhelmingly good, but it's good enough that I had a fun time playing it. Like, I stopped recording and I played through the whole fucking game. Land of the Dead, Road to Fiddler's Green gets a 6 out of 10 from me. It could have been a lot better, but it also could have been a lot worse, man. I didn't think this was all that bad. Number 9, Kabuki Warriors, 32%. Boy. This game is interesting. It's a fighting game based around kabuki theater performances, with all of the fights being between actors on a stage. First things first, this game has maybe the worst menu music, stage themes, and sound effects that I have ever heard in my entire life. Explaining it would be a lot more difficult than just trying to let you hear it for yourself, so just check this out. That is what you are constantly hearing while you play this. It's crazy. It's insane. The graphics are bland, the stages are, well, stages, and it is one-button combat. No joke, there's one attack button, and the direction you press can change the attacks you use, but yeah, it's one button. I found that the easiest way to win battles was just to spam your basic combo over and over again until you win. The campaign mode is called Tour Mode, which you fight along a list of stages towards your goal. The more money you win in your fights, the more spaces you can skip, and the less days it will take for you to beat the tour. I don't know why it matters, honestly. But yeah, outside of that, there's nothing to this game. You just spam one input and you hope it works. One cool thing though is after your team of 3 beats another, you can choose the opposing team's captain to trade to your team, which you will want to do because your opening character sucks ass. But other than that, this isn't fun at all. Just smashing one button repeatedly kind of just fucking sucks. No two ways about it. It just sucks. Adding the bad gameplay on top of its visuals and its annoying as fuck sound design, and you have a game that's an eyesore, but also one fucking plays like shit. It's just a bad combination. There isn't much else to say about this one because there just isn't much else to it. That's all the game is. That's why Kabuki Warriors, it gets a 2 out of 10. Number 8, Robocop, 30%. Let's take a look at my notes for this one, why don't we? Let's see. First thing I wrote down says, intro looks good, immediately followed by, oh no, which was then followed in all caps by, oh no. Yeah, so as it turns out, the only thing that looked good, not only in the intro, but in the entire game itself, was just Robocop. This is the only thing. Just Robocop himself. Everything else in this game looks atrocious. It's so bad. It sounds as bad as it looks, and when I loaded up the first level, the first thing I realized was that the camera has controls inverted by default on an FPS game. Why? Fucking why, dude? Why do so many games in the early years of 3D invert your controls? Just fucking why? To turn it off, I had to exit all the way out to the main menu and restart, which is obviously, that's going to make me exceedingly happy at the start of this experience. Clearly something that I should have to do. Anyway, I load back in and the entire screen is now a mess. Target markers are flying around, the HUD is confusing as fuck. There's just way too much going on. It looks like the Suicide Squad game. Like just so much shit all over the place. It was the Y button to reload again. Was that the standard at this time? Why do I not remember that? Why do I not remember Y being the fucking reload button so much? You have no map, You have no sprint, and your objectives in each level are basically to wander around aimlessly until you stumble upon one of the things that you're supposed to be doing. Now, it could be killing a target or investigating cargo or confiscating drugs, but there's nothing to point you in the right direction, so you just kind of walk around shooting shit and looking for anything that seems like an objective. The aiming is alright, but everything else just gets repetitive and weak. I don't know. I had zero fun with this one. There's nothing here to make it worth your time at all. Robocop gets a 2 out of 10. This game is the drizzling shits. It's fucking awful. Number 7. Crime Life, Gang Wars, 30%. Looking into this game, I found out that this more or less killed the studio that made it, which, I mean, I don't know how that makes y'all feel, but for me, it doesn't usually bode very well. Loading in for about the 10th time this list, I was like, oh wow, this doesn't look too bad, and then immediately felt like a dumb fuck as soon as the intro was over. It does not look very good, but it's also not overly ugly. It's just very, like, mediocre graphics. This game is a mix between a open world mission based game and a beat 'em up. And if there's one thing I've learned so far making this video is there's quite a few fucking beat 'em ups on the Xbox that apparently sucked ass. So, you know, cool, great, can't wait. I think this got a lot of comparisons to GTA when it came out, but this gameplay reminds me more of a Yakuza game than, say, like a Grand Theft Auto. Mostly because of the lack of driving and the focus on hand-to-hand combat, but it's definitely not as polished as those games were. That said, I mean, there's a bit more here than I expected. The combat itself is actually fairly good. I mean, it does its job at the very least. The storyline and the dialogue is corny, but it's supposed to be like that. So it's a lot better when a game doesn't take itself seriously and, you know, it's over the top on purpose. The missions are pretty well varied, but they all follow a pretty basic structure of go here, do this, beat somebody up, come back. Now, the things that you do are different, but it's all basically that formula. There are different parts of the city that are controlled by rival gangs that you can eventually take over, so that's cool. The soundtrack is okay. The characters are actually pretty memorable, for better or for worse, depending on the character. But other than that, I don't know, there isn't really much to talk about with this game. It's just kind of generic. It's not bad, it's just generic. You've played games just like this one before. We all have. Now, I can see why it got some hate based on some of its shortcomings, but overall, it really isn't that bad. I had a decent time playing this one, honestly. It's a little repetitive, but nowhere near as bad as most of the games on this list. It's a shame that it bombed real hard and it killed the studio, but I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as people say. Crime Life Gang Wars gets a 5 out of 10. It's not great, but it's half decent. Number 6. Sneakers, 28%. What in the actual fuck is this game? That's the first thing I have written down about this one. It's a weird blend of this kind of search/puzzle side-scroller and, you guessed it, a beat-em-up game. God. You control a group of mice, you make your way through stages, and you're searching for rats that you can highlight and then make disappear. Now, there are 4 colors of rats, and once you find all of the rats of one color, they appear in one of the areas, and you have to go to that area and then fight them in like a little beat 'em up section. The fighting sections are terrible. So bad. You have no range, you move slowly, you only have 2 attacks, there's barely any indication of how much health anything has. It's just so... oh, it sucks. Each stage is on a timer, and each time you find a rat, it increases your time by 45 seconds. So as long as you explore every area in a stage, it's not really hard to find everything. It's also just not a hard game at all. The boss fight at the end of the first stage was just as easy as the other fights. It just took longer, that's all. I don't know, it's just fucking weird. This game feels way more like a tech demo trying to show off the graphical capabilities of the Xbox than an actual game people should have had to pay for. This is the kind of game that comes with a console, not one that you have to go out and buy. Like, it looks good, but that's about it. It's boring, it's incredibly repetitive, and when the gameplay isn't very fun in the first place, that makes it even worse than it already was. This is just, I don't know, man, it just feels so fucking pointless. I had a feeling that this was originally a Japanese exclusive, and after doing some digging, I found out it was. It was a launch title in Japan, actually, and it didn't get a release in North America for another year after that. Which actually makes a bunch of sense. This game, it feels like a weird Japanese video game. And like, you know the kind of game I'm talking about. Games like Mr. Mosquito or Katamari. Like, it's just, these games that have incredibly insane, weird concepts. The difference is, those games were good. This one is complete dog shit. So do with that what you will. I don't know who greenlit this game, but they need a swift kick in the testicles. This shit fucking blows. Sneakers gets a 1 out of 10. Nothing about this game is any good. Nothing. Number 5. Steak, Fortune Fighters, 26%. I had never heard of this game before, and I wish I had never heard about it. Steak is a, say it with me kids, arena fighter! Yeah, with horrible, slow combat and terrible looking graphics. Each character has like 2 attacks, they're super slow so you can't ever combo them together. It's awesome. It feels like a shitty port of an arcade game, but it's not. I've looked it up, it's not. It's just shitty. You wander around the stages with one of the limited characters in the game, collecting power-ups and trying to fight people on the map. But there's only like 2 or 3 characters that can actually attack more than once in a row, so you don't pick one of them, you're just fucked, and you're gonna get mollywopped all over the place. It just sucks. You can't combo. The power-ups, even when you figure out what they do, they don't work well, and it's fucking ugly. I tried for an hour to make it through one of these games, and I think I did it like twice. It's insanely boring, mind-numbingly so. This game just sucks, dude. I don't know. There isn't much else to say because there's nothing here. It's the most basic garbage arena fighter. It honestly doesn't feel like this game was finished. This feels like it should be on a demo disc, honestly. It's just ass. It's just complete and utter ass. Steak Fortune Fighters is a 1 out of 10. It's just garbage. Number 4. Aquaman, Battle for Atlantis, 26%. Oh, nice. It's not as if I already played a shitty Superman game at the beginning of this video or anything. I'd love nothing more than to play another dogshit DC superhero game, especially one based on the most boring and fucking lame member of the Justice League. Dude, Aquaman, especially this dumbass Fabio-looking version of this dork. Dude, this is the worst comic book character in the entirety of comic book history, man. Fuck this guy. But hey, maybe the game won't be all that bad, you know? Maybe they took a terrible superhero and they cooked up some magic, huh? Maybe? No, they did not. This is a masterclass on how to not make a game. I load this game up and the story is told to me through one of my favorite forms of storytelling, freeze frames. Oh, but not just any freeze frames. These fucking abominations. Look at this shit, dude. Oh my god. This looks like those fucking like AI Roblox movies that people are making now. What are the captions, dude? What the fuck is this? Oh my god, man. This is a professional game studio made this, man. It's a Microsoft Paint ass fucking screenshots. This is crazy. This is insane. Anyway, when you load up the game, this is what you see. Look at this. Look at this fucking empty-headed fucking dumb fuck. Look at his hair. Look at it. Someone got paid to make that. Look at it. It looks like Farrah Fawcett. Oh, and then when I try to swim, it doesn't move. It aims me. You have to hold down the swim button and then use the left stick to aim while using the right stick to look around. Unfucking believable. This game is basically an exact clone of the Superman game that I played that ended up in the bonus entry section, but instead of flying around and fighting robots, you swim around and you fight people that take 2 hits to kill. You do that about 8 fucking times, and then you do it again. And then you get into a sub and you play a shitty underwater vehicle combat section, and then it's back to the formula for the first levels. That's the entire fucking game. In between each level, you're treated to these garbage comic book panels, and you have to suffer through the gameplay. Nothing in this game is done well. The graphics, the gameplay, the concept, they're all trash, dude. Why would anybody ever think that this is a good idea? Who walked into a pitch meeting with a fucking PowerPoint and was like,
Hey, guys, so you know how everybody's least favorite levels in a video game are the underwater levels? Yeah, why don't we make an entire game out of that?
like who fucking thought that through? Who thought that that was a good idea? And you know, there's just a bunch of assholes in suits. They all nodded their heads and looked at each other, just shook hands and fucking high fives. God. Oh, and to top it all off, this wasn't a budget game. They charged full price for this. They charged $50 American dollars for this piece of shit. $50 fucking dollars. In my infinite curiosity, I went and I looked up what the price would be today with inflation, and this giant hunk of dick cheese would cost $85 fucking dollars today. $85. Everyone who worked on or was involved with this game in any way, shape, or form should go to fucking jail. That's egregious. That is criminal. Anyway, if you can't already tell, this game fucking sucks. Aquaman Battle for Atlantis is a 0 out of 10. I would rather shit in my hands and clap than ever load into this fucking game ever again. Number 3. Batman, Dark Tomorrow, 25%. Oh, great. Another fucking DC game. But hey, at least this one doesn't have freeze frames, and it has actual voice acting in it. So I mean, even if it sucks, can't suck as bad as the game starring the fish fucker. Anyway, that's where the good parts end. The game starts out with how every Batman game starts, with us watching Bruce Wayne's parents die for the umpteenth fucking time. And only this time it looks fucking stupid. There's a bunch of different bat gadgets you can use, and if they were done well, it'd be really, really fucking cool, but they all handle and work like shit, so it doesn't really matter. The graphics look pretty bad, and the physics make no sense at all, and the controls are awful. The combat is bad. The animations look absolutely insane. I mean, look at what Batman running looks like. What is that? It's just so crazy. The camera is janky as hell. It just randomly jumps around, making it really disorienting to try and get through a level. And even the simple things like opening a door aren't simple. You have to stand in front of the door completely still and hit the punch button, and then it will open the door. The game doesn't tell you that though. It doesn't even give you a prompt. You have to figure that out on your own. But you know, to show you how the first level goes, let's watch a little bonk compilation. Yeah, this is one of several garbage Batman games that came out in the early 2000s, and it definitely deserves to be here. Enemies do too much damage when you can't even see them. They know where you are even when you're in stealth mode. It doesn't matter. It's just so bad. Dark Tomorrow is a 1 out of 10. DC must have used these games as their inspiration for the DCU movies, because it's all fucking garbage, man. This sucks. Number 2, Pulse Racer, 24%. A bad kart racer? Who would have thought? You know, I never thought that I would be excited to play a bad kart racing game, but after playing about, 20 other fucking beat-em-ups, it's nice to get a little palate cleanser every now and then. Jesus. Anyway, this game looks bad when you start it up, and the first character you see has no legs for some reason, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get to the gameplay. This is your standard garbage kart racer with just a couple quirky little mechanics that they decided to throw in. The first is that you push up to go faster, which, great idea for a racing game. You know, it makes it really easy to steer when you're constantly needing to push up. The second is that your speed is tied to your heart rate, hence the term Pulse Racer. And if you push up too much and you use your boost for too long, you literally go into cardiac arrest and you pass out. That is not a joke. If you use too much turbo, you have a fucking heart attack. I want to meet the psychopath who thought that that was a good idea. The tracks all look the same. The power-ups all suck except for the turbo boost, and the racing is unfair with barely any rubber banding, which means if you fall behind, all the cars that are faster than you are just gonna beat you outright. If you get hit with a weapon or spun out by somebody, the spin is completely RNG, so there's a good chance that you're just gonna end up backwards and you're completely screwed. Awesome. Feels slow, and the driving itself is poorly done. It just doesn't do anything that well. And the pulse shit is just stupid. It's just stupid. Novel, yes, but stupid. Who thought it was a good idea? These are like kids. Like, yeah, let's have this kids racing game starring a bunch of kids. Let's make them have heart attacks. Like, it's crazy. It's insane. Pulse Racer gets a 2 out of 10. I'm just so glad that this is almost over. Number 1, Drake of the 99 Dragons, 22%. So, I thought that this game was based on a Cartoon Network show or something, but apparently it's just a game, which makes its style choices even weirder. The game intros look okay, but the in-game graphics are pretty garbage, and the controls, I don't know. The controls aren't bad, but they aren't implemented into the gameplay well, I guess, so it doesn't matter. It's not super hard to control where you're going once you get used to it, but it's still a little finicky, and trying to aim at people that are further than 2 feet away from you is completely ineffective, and they just mash your health down to 0 in seconds, and you just go right back to the beginning of the mission. As far as I could tell, there are only 2 types of missions. One is a chase mission where you have to keep up with the bad guy and get to a certain destination within a matter of time, and the other is going back through that same map to collect souls that are there. I could see some of the things they were trying to do, but none of them really work. The parkour and all that, like the controls, they're janky at best, and the combat is downright bad. The best part of this game was after the second mission is over, Drake gains a bunch of supernatural powers and he feels invincible, so he throws himself out of a skyscraper window and he falls to his death, something that I felt like doing while I was playing this game. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed, and I didn't do that. Mostly because I only live on the 2nd floor, and it's not a big enough fall to knock the memories of this game out of my head. This game is bad, but it's far from the worst game on this list, and while it is janky, I could see someone having a tiny bit of fun breaking it. This one feels like a game that might be fun to speedrun or something, but there's not a whole lot else to work with here. Drake of the 99 Dragons gets a 3 out of 10. You know, do with that what you will. Anyway, That's the end of another worst of list, and this was, by a mile, the worst lineup of games I've played so far. Some of these were just unfucking forgivable, dude. These, oh man, this was bad. But now that it's over, I can tell you guys what the next video will be. If you haven't already guessed, the next video will be rounding out the big three from the 6th gen consoles, and I'll be rocking through the worst of the GameCube. I felt like saving that for last would be fun since there's so many random GameCube exclusives, and I think the variety will make it a little bit more interesting instead of, oh, I don't know, like 15 fucking shitty beat-em-ups. But I don't know, let's see, I guess. I'm already working on that one a little bit, so hopefully I'll be able to get that out quicker than I got this one out, but you know, we'll see, no promises. Other than that though, thanks for stopping by. If you want to watch another one of my videos, there's one right here. If not, then that's cool too. Whatever you do, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. And as always, take care of yourselves. I'll catch you on the flip side.